When David Bennett saw his younger brother Jack laugh at a joke his wife made, he didn't just feel a pang of jealousy, he realized it was already decided. No later than a week from now, one of them would cease to exist, in Evelyn's heart, in the family, in this house. Maybe even from the face of the earth. He didn't know yet he'd choose this path. But he knew for certain, there would be no forgiveness. The house stood on a hill in a Salt Lake City suburb, pristine white, with columns, a backyard pool, and mountain views that smelled of jasmine in summer and frost and regret in winter. David had bought it 30 years ago, when Bennett and Company had just started supplying agricultural machine parts across the West Coast. He'd built an empire, a family, a future. Now, at 62, he sat on the veranda, gripping a glass of whiskey, watching his brother Jack, the man to whom he'd once given half the business, a condo in San Diego, and forgiveness for sleeping with his first wife, lean toward Evelyn to tuck a stray strand of hair behind her ear. "You shouldn't be doing that," David whispered, though no one heard him. Evelyn smiled. Not the morning smile she used to give him when she'd wake him with a soft kiss to his temple. No. This smile was full of promises that weren't meant for him. Jack had always been charismatic. Since they were boys, he'd known how to make the world revolve around him. David, the older, serious, responsible one, had always stayed in the shadows. But he never complained. He built. He paid the bills. He saved the company when Jack vanished to find himself in Mexico for 2 years. He stayed silent when Jack returned with a child from a local girl and asked to temporarily stay in the guest house. David took him in. Always. But now he understood. Mercy was weakness. And weakness was never forgiven in their family. The next morning, Evelyn set breakfast on the patio, fresh bagels, avocado, almond milk coffee, everything just the way he liked it. David sat across from her, studying her face as if for the first time. She was beautiful even at 60, silver streaks in her chestnut hair, gentle crow's feet, calm eyes. But behind that gaze, deceit. He knew it now. "Jack's staying a few more days," she said, not looking up. "He's helping with the taxes. You know how complicated the new laws are." "I know," David replied. "I can count too." She looked up. A flicker of alarm crossed her eyes. "Are you implying something?" "No. Just stating a fact." He stood and walked into his study. On the desk lay an old envelope, the kind lawyers send. Inside was his will. He reread it for the 100th time. Everything he owned was to go to Evelyn. Jack? Nothing. Not a cent. Not a share. Not even guest house privileges. But what if he didn't die of natural causes? David walked to the window. Jack was watering flowers by the pool, acting not like a billionaire, but like a gardener. Or perhaps, a future owner. The idea came to him that night. It was insane. Cruel. Perfect. He remembered how, a couple of years ago, one of their Arizona suppliers had died under strange circumstances, a fall from a ladder in his own garage. The investigation was closed. Accidental death. What if Jack accidentally slipped by the pool? Or fell from the terrace? Or was poisoned? David wasn't a killer. But he was a husband. A father. And traitors were never forgiven. Still, striking directly would mean admitting defeat. And David Bennett didn't know how to surrender. He decided to play smart. His first move was a meeting with his lawyer. "I need to update my will," he said. "Add Jack as a beneficiary. Half of everything his. All company shares too. Let him think he's won." The lawyer raised an eyebrow. "Are you sure? After everything that's happened?" "All the more reason," David smirked. "Victory is when your enemy signs his own death warrant." The next day, he hosted dinner. Just family. Jack, Evelyn, and their daughter Lisa, the only one who still believed in him. She'd flown in from Chicago specifically for this little reunion, as she'd texted. "Dad, you look exhausted," she said, hugging him. "I'm just getting old," he replied, though determination flickered in his eyes. At dinner, David was unusually warm. He poured wine for Jack, reminisced about their childhood, cracked jokes about old foolishness. Even Evelyn softened. "You're acting so different today," she said, placing her hand over his. I just realized family is all that matters, he replied, locking eyes with Jack. And I want you to know, everything I have is yours now too. Jack froze, then smiled wide, triumphant. Brother. I don't know what to say. Don't say anything, David said. Just know I forgive you. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat in his study, watching security footage. Jack and Evelyn didn't wait until morning. They met in the library at 2 a.m. They embraced, kissed, laughed like teenage lovers. David turned off the screen. Tomorrow, a new chapter begins, he whispered. The next few days passed in silence. He signed documents, reissued shares, transferred funds to a new account, solely in Lisa's name. No one knew. Not even the bank thought it was anything more than an investment portfolio for his daughter. Meanwhile, Jack grew bolder in the house. He started taking client calls as if he already owned the place. Gave Evelyn advice on managing the home. One day, David caught him in his study, flipping through his private papers. Just checking the tax filings, Jack said, not even hiding his smirk. Of course, David replied. Go ahead. It's all yours now. But there was no bitterness in his voice. Only calm. The plan fully crystallized the day the contractors arrived. We've prepared everything as you requested, Mr. Bennett, the foreman said. The pool will be filled by noon tomorrow. Perfect, David nodded. And remember, no safety fencing. My brother loves night swimming. Says it relaxes him. The contractors exchanged glances, but said nothing. That evening, David hosted a farewell dinner. He grilled steaks himself, uncorked a bottle of aged Bordeaux. Even Lisa noticed how strangely peaceful he seemed. Are you really okay, Dad? Better than ever, he smiled. After dinner, he walked out to the pool. Jack sat on a lounge chair, soaking in the view. I envy you, David said, sitting beside him. You've always known how to get what you want. It's not guilt, brother, Jack replied. It's talent. Maybe, David nodded. But you know what they say? Talent is a gift. Character is a choice. He stood, patted Jack on the shoulder, and walked back inside. At 3 a.m., the alarm went off. Screams woke the entire house. Evelyn arrived first. Then Lisa. David emerged last, in a robe, as if just roused from sleep. Paramedics already surrounded the pool. Jack lay unconscious on the wet concrete. Water splashed everywhere, as if he'd fallen trying to climb out, but hadn't made it. He swims at night, Evelyn stammered, voice trembling. Said it helps him unwind. No safety railing, one paramedic muttered. Dangerous for older folks. Jack died in the ambulance. Cardiac arrest due to hypothermia and stress, the report read. Accidental death. At the funeral, Evelyn wept. Lisa stood beside her father, holding his hand tightly. He was so full of life, she whispered. Yes, David said. Too alive for too long. No one noticed the bitterness in his voice. No one knew the pool water had been deliberately chilled to 12 degrees Celsius, enough to induce shock in a man with hypertension. No one knew the security system had been disabled. And no one knew David had removed the pool ladder, the very one that could have saved him. He hadn't pushed his brother. He'd simply given him freedom of choice. And Jack had chosen death, just as he'd chosen betrayal. A week later, Evelyn asked for a divorce. I can't live with someone who looks at me like I'm a traitor, she said. And aren't you? David asked calmly. She didn't answer. Just packed her things and left. Lisa stayed. I know what you did, Dad, she said one evening as they sat on the same veranda. I saw you disable the alarm. And remove the ladder. David stayed silent. I don't condemn you, she continued. But you've changed. No, he replied. I just stopped pretending. She hugged him. Sometimes revenge isn't about killing. It's about refusing to be the victim anymore. He nodded. And for the first time in years, he felt peace. 2 years passed. The house in Utah still stood on the hill. The pool sat unused. David handed over company operations, retired quietly. He often visited Lisa and her kids in Chicago. Sometimes they spoke of Jack, of the past, of betrayal. But more often, they were silent. Because silence, too, is a language. And it's spoken best by those who survive. One day, strolling through the park, Lisa asked, "Do you ever regret it?" "Only that I let it go on for so long," he answered, and walked on. Calm. Whole. Free. Because revenge isn't an ending. It's reclaiming yourself.